Does this man look familiar? This is Gary Ridgway, also known as the famous Green River Killer, who stalked and killed several women. Ridgway was a man who appeared to be a normal, everyday, regular citizen who had a dark secret. He got obsessed with the killing of women and continued through several years. He was found guilty for killing 49 women, and the number seemed to be closer to 80. He was a massive serial killer who threatened the community where he resided by killing and dumping bodies. In this speech, you'll learn who Gary Ridgway truly is, how and why he killed the innocent victims, and how his crime eventually caught up with him. Gary Ridgway lived his everyday life and functioned in a society with a job as a truck painter. Ridgway was residing in the Seattle area where he became a mass serial killer. He was a married man and appeared to be the perfect neighbor until he was labeled as the Green River Killer. Ridgway was married 3 times and had a son whom he used his picture to lure women in to prove he is compassionate and not a killer. He would even bring some of his victims to his house when nobody was home to give the women a peace of mind of his gentleness. Ridgway was a family man and would go camping with his son and do fun activities. However, what his son didn't know was when they would go on a camping trip, when they would go on their camping trips, he had body parts in the back of his vehicle that he would scatter along the Green River during their road trip to make the police think the Green River Killer was moving south. Looking back at Ridgway, he is a very cold-hearted person who would talk about murder with no emotion like you would be talking about everyday life. Plus, his second wife made comments on how he stalked her and would sneak up on her and grab her neck in somewhat friendly manner. Further in the marriage, he became abusive and they divorced until he married again. Not only was he known as killing as an adult, there is discussion that he may have murdered 2 others in his teenage years, but there is no evidence found other than talk. Either way, Ridgway became a professional killer and became very comfortably good at it. Ridgway would target women, especially prostitutes, who were not missed and what he thought were almost forgotten about in society. Plus, he had a hatred for prostitutes and the fact they wanted paid for their services. He stated, "I picked prostitutes because I thought I could kill as many of them as I wanted without getting caught." He also focused on underage runaways and other forgotten women. He became so good at killing, he got to a point he wanted to do it again and again. His staple for killing was choking his victims because he found it more personal than shooting them. He looked at it that the prostitutes deserved what they got, and that was payback for them thinking he was actually going to pay them for their services. Ridgway confessed that he picked up prostitutes and teen runaways throughout the 1980s and 1990s in Washington's King County, strangled them during sex, and dumped their bodies in remote areas during King County's 65-mile Green River. A majority of his killings took place between the years of 1982 and 1983. Ridgway found it as a hobby to go along the strip to find women to have sex with them. However, it did not stop there, and he became violent and a vicious murderer. He became so good at his hobby, he continued it throughout several years. Once he killed his victims, he would dump their bodies and not think twice of what he just did, and it was natural to him. Not only did Ridgway enjoy what he was doing, he took pride in his killings. The Green River Killer got so much publicity that he caught the attention of Ted Bundy. Bundy said he would help the detectives solve the case because killing was his expertise. It turned out that the detectives were willing to use his help, but it did not pan out. The Green River Killer finally got arrested on a prostitution charge in '82 and became a suspect in the case, but was released after passing a polygraph test. Ridgway was always known as a very good liar. After he got arrested, it caused marital problems, and his wife was quickly filing for a divorce. And it wasn't until 2001 that police compiled enough DNA to arrest Ridgway. Once there was DNA evidence, Ridgway confessed to 49 of the killings and took pride in them. He stated that he wants to take credit for all his killings, and he was being charged for it, but not the killings he did not commit. Ridgway apparently had a change of heart, and decided it was time to give out more information to the families of the victims so they could have closure for the loved ones they lost. Ridgway said he is a changed man who has found God. Now says that while he was telling police of the crimes following the 2001 arrest and subsequent confession, there was more he could have said to help locate their victims. The question remains if Ridgway is genuinely trying to help the families of the victims or if he is trying to gain attention. Ridgway is considered a polygraphical liar, so after filtering everything, he says there could be slim amount of truth in it. Ridgway has been speaking with Air Force criminal investigator Rob Fitzgerald for years about his crimes under his arrest, and for the past 5 years, Ridgway was hunted for unidentified victims of the Green River Killer. Ridgway has entrusted Fitzgerald and provides him with information and photos of possible dump sites of where more bodies could be. Investigators have continued to ask questions and gain information on the whereabouts of the victims and questions about the tactics. For example, investigators asked why they found a body whose head was decapitated. Ridgway responds that he assumes after the body decomposed, the head fell off and rolled down the hill, and that he never decapitated the women. Either way, investigators will continue to get a different story or the same story, but until more evidence is found, it is a dead end. Ridgway has been a suspect in the killings for years, but it wasn't until 2001 that he was arrested thanks to the DNA testing advances. To avoid the death penalty, Ridgway confessed to 48 murders in 2003. In 2011, a 49 body count, the 49th body was found, and he received an additional life sentence. The Green River Killer, known as Gary Ridgway, was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of 49 women. He was a man that the Seattle area feared and terrorized the community by his vicious acts of violence. Ridgway caused so much pain and sorrow in the lives of several by his motives to pick up prostitutes, strangle them, kill them, and dump their bodies along the river. He made a name of himself that even caught the attention of other serial killers. With the help of Fitzgerald, he searched for 5 years or so to help locate the bodies of women, because he stated that the women deserved it and the family deserves closure. Gary Ridgway will go down in history as one of the most feared serial killers in the United States, with the suspense if there are more women that have not been counted for. Here's an article from Gary Ridgway, and it states, a quote from Gary Ridgway said, "I killed so many women, I have a hard time keeping them straight." Thank you.